Good morning, everybody. This is Robin Leslie with OnlyTheInspired.com on day 22 of the OnlyTheInspired.com Coach Summit, and it's all about the value of coaching. And so I'm super duper excited about the interviews today. I absolutely love Miss Laura Scotti, and Caleb Coy is just fantastic. He's amazing in so many ways. And so I can't wait for you guys to hear those interviews. So if you're just tuning in, my name is Robin Leslie, and I have created OnlyTheInspired.com, and which is launching in 10 days. Woo! Launching in 10 days. And so what that is it's a coaching platform. So it's a place for people who are inspired, people who want to inspire the world to all come together and collaborate and join forces with different coaching modalities, learning how to up level our lives, learning how to heal from our past, and really trying to inspire the world. And whether you're a coach or one of the members, all of the people in there are ones who want to make a lasting difference on their family, on their friends, on their community, on the world, possibly. And so that's what OnlyTheInspired.com is. That's one of the many things that it is. And so what this Coach Summit is doing is giving you an understanding of the value of coaching. And so we have 71 coaches from all different areas, all different backgrounds, all different locations. And but you're going to see that they have one thing in common, is to inspire, to ignite that flame in people, to help you try and find that burning desire that you have and light it up and let your life shine. And so you'll see when all of the coaches talk about what they get to do, they light up. They are just so excited about the things they get to do and the people they get to help, and that they're spreading inspiration. And we all need that in today's world. We need more inspiration now than probably we ever have. It's, the whole world is taking a toll with this whole COVID thing. And so we need that spark. We need that sunshine and that rainbow, and that could continue to grow forever. So make sure that you let us know where you're coming in from. And please, if you're going to watch the videos anyways, start a watch party. And that way that expands the reach of these interviews to so many more people, so we could all inspire more people, and invite people to join the summit. We have 10 days left, and so I'm super excited. I want to help spread the message. And so today we have, like I said, two incredible interviews. So I have Miss Laura Scotti. I'm going to bring her up. Hello, beautiful.
Hello, Robin. How are you?
I'm good. So she is in Philadelphia, and she is actually friends with Miss Vanessa, the run coach that came on a few days ago. So she referred her to me, and so they are in Philadelphia. And you said COVID and all that kind of stuff is getting much better there.
Yes, in our immediate area, the numbers are definitely going down. So we're very hopeful to start having one-on-one meetings again. That's the goal. We want to see people in person.
Right.
Vanessa and I actually sneak little coffee meetings in an outdoor setting where we're not close to each other, and we find ways to do it. But once we can do business again where we can have meetings in person, we're all going to be really excited.
Yeah, because we're all missing that connection. And Todd and I went to some friends' birthday party yesterday, and it's really hard to not hug people. It's like awkward. It's like you want to hug, but you're not sure if you could hug. And some people do the fist bump thing, and it's just weird right now. But yeah, we're all missing that human connection. And so I'm grateful that we have this online space where we could do that. So Miss Laura and I recorded this interview, and I'm super interested to see what she thinks, because she started her media company April 1st, and we recorded the interview May 26th, and she hasn't seen it. So a lot has happened. It's almost been 3 months. And so I'm so curious after she watches that video to see where she's at now, because I'm sure life has completely changed. And so I'm excited to share that. Do you want to share anything before we play your video?
No, I think I'm as excited as you are, because I do feel like so much has changed in what is a short period of time, but it seems really long.
Right. And I totally fell in love with Laura when we did the interview and when I met her. So we're going to play that. If you have any questions for Laura, put them in the chat. And there's a little StreamYard link at the somewhere on this post. I think it's at the bottom of the text on the post. If you click on that, then we could see who you are when you comment in StreamYard. And then, make sure you put the questions in the chat, and she's going to come back up after the interview and answer any questions that you have. And we'll go over how much has changed in almost 3 months for her. And then we're going to bring on Caleb Kidd Coy, which is just absolutely phenomenal. And so make sure you stick around. And once again, please start a watch party and share the message, share the interviews, and get more people involved. Somebody says, Robin Leslie, I'm super excited as well. Let's go. And I'm not sure who that is, but yes. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share the interview. Miss Laura, mute yourself, and then I'll bring you up after. Okay. Okay. So here we go. This is Robin Leslie with onlytheinspired.com doing another amazing coach interview. I have the beautiful Laura Scotti here. And so we're going to get to know a little bit about her and how she could possibly help you. And so in a couple minutes, Miss Laura, describe who you are and how you help people.
So I just actually recently started business coaching as part of my business not too long ago. I worked in radio for 17 years, and I did every position from receptionist to admin to general manager to director of corporate sales with that company. So I moved up, through that company over the years, and I learned just about every position, and I really enjoyed working with the teams in the radio station. So I love the process of finding and hiring people, finding people that had more experience or less experience, people with potential, and like really growing people and creating teams together that were, more functional and worked well cohesively. So I really have this passion for working with people and learning how to pull what's best out of those people in the positions that they're in, and really understand how they want to grow, where they want to go, and how to help, show them that path. So I was doing that for years. I traveled a lot with my job, and just left that corporate job. I gave my notice January 1st, and I gave a 3-month notice to them. And then, of course, my first day full-time in my business actually was April 1st, right in the middle of coronavirus and everything else. So my shift actually was into business coaching, which was unintentional, really. I never really considered to do that. I work more with media companies, and I've kind of stayed in that line. But when I got my first coaching client by accident, it was, a friend was like, you need to do this for this company, and they could really use you and they could learn from it. And I was like, well, I'm not really sure how that goes. But since then, it's just expanded. So I fell in love with it with that first client. He's still my client now. We work so well together, and we've come up with some really good and creative ideas. And so it's developed into growth strategies. So I really focus on growth strategies. So my clients come to me when they either have an idea to start a business and they don't know how, and we work together through that, or they have a business and it's either not profitable or it's not as profitable as they want it to be. They want to grow it. They want to have other branches of the business. And so it's pretty specific. It's, if you're wanting to grow something, I come in and I work with you, and I give accountability, I give strategies, and then we work together to grow the business. And I find that it's really in line with everything that I love doing in my other job, but now I get to do it in my company, and I get to really make an impact with people in their lives and their businesses. And I really love it.
Yay. And that's great value that you got from that company, working in every position, because you get to see the whole gamut, and not just, couple positions. You get to see the ins and out of the whole thing. That's awesome. That's awesome. So you kind of answered the next question. How did you get started? So describe your ultimate vision for your business.
So I have a real passion for media, of course. I was in radio since I was a teenager, really.
Is that your favorite media or all media?
I love radio, but it's really expanded to all media. And one thing that I did in that company was I was always looking for new outlets to be a part of. And I always said, radio by itself is not necessarily going to continue the way it looked, 10, 20 years ago. And really, radio companies needed to become media companies and really include digital media, social media, and any other kind of media outlet, and kind of provide more services than just radio. So now in my own business, that's really something where I'm able to do that. There's no restriction of just having a radio station where I have to focus on the radio station and move that forward, but it's really creating a whole picture around media and advertising and marketing and strategy, and how you can impact the business in many different ways, not just focused on advertising, which is what happens in radio. But for me, I had the experience of being on the management side. So I worked with the clients, and I did sales, and I did account management, and I did all of these things, and I oversaw a lot of what happened, like the clients coming on. So it was very advertising oriented, but at the same time, I was training and managing the team. So there was this whole leadership piece to the puzzle, which is where I really enjoyed it. So now I'm able to find ways to take some of those leadership skills and tools that I've learned and teach them, along with strategies to advertise and grow your business. And I feel like that's a huge value for some business owners who have created a business around a passion, something that they're really passionate about, a product or a service, but they get intimidated or confused when it comes to advertising or business-oriented talks and things like that. So that's where I come in, and I just, can partner with a business owner, and we work together on those strategies. And there's, learning on both sides, obviously. So that's really where I see it going, where I can expand that and I can bring that experience together of bringing in marketing strategies, using my advertising experience, but also leveling the business up and being able to help expand and bring on staff and, lead a team and, really become part of the life of the business and not just one area or the other. And I think that's what business coaching is. You kind of can customize it to yourself, your strengths, and your customer and what they need.
Yeah. Well, and I think you bring great value, because marketing is such a different animal by itself. But then at the same time, some of us are creatives, and we might not have the leadership or the decision making. We want to go and 500 different directions. And sometimes we need somebody to narrow us down. Okay, here's a plan. This is what we're going to do. And strategically plan it out, because if you're just all over the place, you're not going to get anywhere anytime soon, because you're just so spread thin. So I think the leadership part is amazing and will help a lot of people. I'm one of those that struggle in that area, because I want to do this and this and this and this and this. Yeah.
That's true. And there's a lot to be said about just accountability. It's not that you can't do it, but it's sometimes, you do get distracted by things. And I'm one of those people who will start a project and then I have to vacuum, and then I vacuum half the floor, and then I'm like, oh, but wait, over here, and then the phone rings. And so I actually have to practice and really make sure that I'm focused and I'm getting everything done from start to finish, and I'm not going from one thing to the other. So
great.
That is definitely a priority.
Awesome. So what beliefs do you have that you think set you apart from your competition? And I'm one of those that believes in collaboration, but there's lots of business coaches out there. So what do you think your beliefs or your perspective is different from the other business coaches out there?
So I would say I'm also a big one for collaboration, and I think there's tons of opportunity. I mean, there are a lot of business coaches, but there are also a lot more businesses. There's always opportunity. And I think for me, I'm very specific around the timing of where I can really make an impact. So it's someone specific that's really looking for to start their business or scale their business, and they have a specific need. So it's more targeted, I would say, in that way. And also I do have a lot of collaborations with other business coaches and consultants and things like that. So I bring my set of expertise, which has to do with sales and marketing and leadership, whereas there are others that have more of a legal background, or it could be any area, and we really collaborate and work together. But I think the main thing is, I have a real heart for women in business, so I tend to lean towards female business owners and working with them. And I find that I'm just so passionate about the growth process of the business that it's less about a structured coaching session. It's very different. It's very unique. It's very centered around strategy and what comes up. And I'm learning about their business, their product, their service, just as they're learning about the business side and what I can bring. So it's a collaborative effort just in the process there. So I think coaches are very important. I have a coach myself. I think that, anything that you can do on your own, you basically, when you hire a coach, you have someone that's really behind you. They're pushing you forward. They're teaching you. They're giving you tools, and they're lifting you up at the same time. For a lot of business owners, they say, well, yeah, I know I want to surround myself with people I could talk to, but I don't know anyone else that's in a similar situation, that owns a business or that is a professional or that has this drive and these goals. And it's another thing that a coach provides. They're just always taking you to the next level, always challenging you, always teaching you, and always supporting you. So you have, it's your greatest investment is with having someone come alongside you to grow your business.
Right. Well, and it's important to them that you're successful, because,
exactly.
That makes them more successful, and it's a total win-win. Yeah, they're going to do everything they can to try and make you grow and, hold you accountable and get the things done that you set out to do, because, that's what you hired them for. And so they're not trying to hurt you in any way, just help you. So what was the hardest thing to overcome when starting your business?
Well, coronavirus threw me for a loop. I definitely wasn't expecting the change in the landscape of businesses generally, especially media companies and things like that. I really was targeting media companies. And then, they were laying off a lot of their staff and, making changes. So I always say there's no playbook for coronavirus. We're all just kind of in it together and doing it. But, being at home, going from working with a company and having, I mean, there were over 200 people in that company. I was constantly talking to people. I was constantly working with others, to then being in my own business and being in the house, in quarantine. And, that's a big challenge. I love interacting with people, and I really thrive on like working together and collaborating and being in person. And so in the beginning of like starting your business, then to have these other challenges on top of it, it was really difficult for me to stay focused and not almost not give up. And it would have been very unfortunate if I did just say, oh, well, we're in quarantine, I just have to take this time off and I'm going to watch TV and not worry about it. Because like I said, it was almost accidental. My friend called, this business needs you. You can offer them something. I know, and I'm like, well, what can I offer? What are you talking about? You need to just be his business coach. Oh, okay. And that now started, and it just expanded. Now I have clients for business coaching. I have marketing consulting clients. I have media company clients. So business did not go to sleep. Things have changed. The landscape has changed, but I think the hardest thing for me was to like push through the challenge of having those additional things weighing on me as I went out on my own. Like, who would have thought, like, of course, this is going to be the perfect timing for that. And so really pushing through that and staying focused on learning. And, I signed up for the Rise Up Challenge on Facebook. I watched presenters every single day. I was always watching like business presenters and working hard to just overcome that, doubt and question, like, should I go back to my job or, what am I supposed to do here? So it's worked out well.
I believe everything happens for a reason. And there's so many positive benefits of the coronavirus and the shutdown that people they might not realize until later on. And that is also one of the reasons why I'm doing all of these interviews, is because you listen, just like the Rise Up World Challenge, you listen to all these different coaches from different perspectives and hear what took them from this career to this career. And, if it wasn't for the coronavirus, you were headed in a different direction. And now you're absolutely loving what you're doing. And yay.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that's
I say that a lot.
Yeah. One of the benefits that, you don't think, but yeah, it is a challenge, a struggle when you're ripped away from all of your social interactions, but it could be a beautiful thing. So, I like to ask this question because some people have it and some people don't, and I'm just curious. So do you have the support of a network of friends and family that are, obviously you have one friend that said you need to do this, but do you have a lot of support of friends and family saying, yes, go for it? Or are people thinking, I don't know why you quit your job, what are you thinking? I'm curious where you're at.
Yeah, I would say I'm very lucky to have a supportive network. It's probably not a traditional network that most people have, but I have people all over the country, people I've worked with, people I've become friends with, the owner of the company that I recently left is amazing. I mean, I told him, like, this has to happen. We started talking about it in November. He's been so supportive. We email back and forth. He's still, we check on each other, and my CFO. So I have people from the company telling me, you're exactly where you need to be. Don't question yourself, those types of things. And I do have a very supportive network of friends and family. There are some that are like, what are you doing? In reality, when it happened, the main thing that people said to me was, go back, because I do have such a great relationship with my former employer. Go back to work. They'll put you back on. At least you'll have the paycheck. You'll have that stability. You won't have to, worry about things as much. And I just remember kind of sitting there thinking, oh, well, maybe I'm supposed to just go back to work. But it was like, I knew that it was time to make that move. And, things do happen for a reason. I am a big believer of that. So for the most part, although people were saying things like that, they were saying it in protection of me, thinking maybe this is an option. I remember my mom, we laughed together about it, because when I left my job, she said, well, isn't there another radio company that would hire you? And I'm like, well, yeah, that's not the point. Like, I'm starting my own business because I want to do this my way. I want to do it myself. I want to help people. I want to help businesses grow. I have something to offer. And she's like, well, I mean, there's a lot of radio here in this market. And it was just like, really? And now she's like, oh, you're doing so great. This is amazing. So some people, they don't get it. It's not for everybody, and that's okay. But in my case, I work with some amazing people, and I have resources where I can pick up the phone and say, hey, can you help me with this? I don't know what this means. And I do have some amazing friends, and a lot of the clients that I have now are just referrals. I haven't marketed at all, and I am busy.
Yay.
So it's people who are supporting me that are telling others to support me, and it grows from there. So it's a pretty amazing opportunity for me, and to do it with such support. So I feel very lucky in that way.
Yay. Awesome. So what is your favorite thing about your business?
Definitely the coaching. So I coach every morning. I work with a different business owner every morning. And there's something about the energy of someone else doing something accomplished, because I don't actually do the work. I do strategy. We talk. I do accountability and strategy. We go over, what have you accomplished? And the excitement of them like doing these things and investing in their business and, really making things happen, it just makes me want to do more. So that feeling of you're always feeling accomplished because you're feeling your accomplishment in their accomplishments, so it's like every day it just energizes me. So I plan it that way. Every morning I wake up, I get ready, I start my day, and then I have a coaching client, and I make sure that that's the first thing I do, because it sets me up for the day to just be in a really good mood, to be really like feeling energized and able to take on a lot with a really positive attitude.
That's great. If more of us did that, where we planned our favorite thing early in the day, then it's like,
I definitely recommend that.
It's already a great day. Yeah. By 10 o'clock, we're all woo. Awesome.
I definitely recommend that. It's very helpful for me.
I love that. So what inspires you? What are you passionate about? And it doesn't have to be with business.
Well, I've always really wanted to help people. Like, I was always the one that had the conversation too long. You already got the deal, Laura. It's time to move on. You want to get, and I'm like, but I really want to know everything about, so I really am invested in helping people. And I have a very, very strong desire to help women in business, help younger women, just have some direction, really have people to look up to. These types of things, I love to see women supporting each other, and we all, come together on Facebook groups and work together in those ways. And so I think my business and what I'm doing now, I don't exclude men from the business at all. I have male coaching clients, and I love them just as much, but I think that a lot of what I'm doing now is going to help push me into like my future goal of having some way of impacting young women in the workplace or for their future workplace, because I think school-aged girls, college-aged girls, I think they really need influences, and they need to know what is possible professionally, and they need to see for themselves people who've been there and done that, and really show them the things that are possible. Because I think it's just so important. And I know just from experiences that I went through and being young in a professional industry where it's dominated by men, there's still so many opportunities and so many options where a lot of people can be intimidated by it. So I have a real passion for that. And I know that at some point this business and the way, especially this new direction that the business is taking, it's going to set me up and allow me to create something really unique that can make an impact, because that's what I'm passionate about. I want to help other people. I want people to know that they can do it too.
Very cool. So something you said you're in a professional business that's dominated by men. So I'm in the middle of interviewing 60 coaches. And out of those 60 coaches, probably minimum 50 are women. Almost, in all the groups that I'm involved in Facebook, it is a way outnumbered scale of women starting their own business at home than it is men, which is interesting. And because in the corporate world, I think in the corporate world that is scaled the other way, where it's much more men dominated. But so, yeah, I think you have plenty of people to work with.
I agree. And I think that's wonderful.
Yeah. And it's crazy. And I've noticed that just, the huge imbalance. And,
well, I think maybe a lot of women don't necessarily want to fit into the corporate box, and sometimes those opportunities, the opportunities that we want aren't necessarily there for us, or we feel like we hit a ceiling or, whatever it is. But I love that women are feeling empowered and saying, okay, well, I'm going to do it my own way. I'm going to build my own business. I'm going to take the bull by the horns and I'm going to go. And I think that's amazing.
Well, and feminine energy by itself is free.
True.
It's free. And so maybe that has something to do with it. So who inspires you?
Who inspires me? Honestly, like I said, I'm just so lucky with my network of people. And I started working with the company when I was 19. I took a semester off of college. It was not going well. Life was not going well. As 18, 19-year-old Laura, it was not a good time. And I had this job, and like I said, I started as a receptionist, and I just really, I was so motivated, and I had to be successful. I mean, I had to find a place to live. I needed to pay bills. I needed to do things. And I just took off, and I just did things without knowing what I was doing. And there have been so many people who have not only inspired me, but showed me, like, nobody really handed me opportunities. I was always like, give me that. I want that. I can do that. And I did things that I shouldn't have been able to do. And all through that process, there have been people that have encouraged me, and it's unique. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about that. When you're young and you're impressionable and you're a woman, you don't always see other women doing amazing things, starting businesses, being successful, getting through those awkward teenage years. And I really had a lot of people that showed me that these things were possible, men and women. And so I've been very lucky. And like I said, my previous employer, I was 19 years old. I didn't know how to use a computer when I started there. So the two executives there in that corporate office, like, they created opportunities because I was just banging the door down. I need something different. I can do this. I can do that. I can do sales. And they're looking at me. I mean, I was a teenager. And I remember going to the CFO once and saying, hey, I'm going to these conferences and people are using all these big words. Like, I was not educated. And he used to bring me his Wall Street Journal when he was done every day. So I could read the words and I could look them up and I could have business discussions with him. And so I've had these amazing people in my life in places where, some people don't ever get that. But so I feel like young Laura inspires me. I feel like there were times where I was very lost and there was no one, and I could have just used that as an excuse and said, nobody's showing me any other way, and this is what it is. I know people who do that, and I was very fortunate to go out and look for opportunities to surround myself with positive people that made an impact, and it's worked out well for me. And so I just think about that, like, I used to say, how much more could I have done if somebody would have guided me? Or how much better could I have been if somebody gave me good advice back then? Or, how I could have had those years back, how I could have done better. And it used to be like a regret. And now it's like, okay, I made the best of my situation and I was able to create these opportunities and do these things. But like, I have such a heart for that, 18-year-old Laura, and I want to find them there and show them and teach them and give them experiences like I always thought if I would have. And to be honest, my whole life has been filled with people who inspire me and have encouraged me and supported me. So it's pretty amazing.
Yay. Well, and your eagerness and willing to learn and asking for more, and not everybody does that. So
Right.
I'm sure you stood out. It's like, wow, she's asking, she's eager, she wants to learn, she wants to get better. Let's give it to her. Let's see what she's got.
Yeah, my first promotion required a 4-year degree, and I was a dropout at that point. And I just said, listen, I know I don't have the degree. I know I can't apply, but I can do that job and I'll do my job at the same time. Just give me 30 days. I'll do both. And if you're happy with what I do, I'll replace myself in my old job. And that's how the process started. I mean, I should have never gotten that promotion. I should have never been considered, but I was determined. And I'm like, I know I can do that. I don't need a degree for that. I know enough, and I've been studying, and I started taking their Excel file. Well, back then it was Lotus, but I started taking their files and their spreadsheets home and studying them. And then at some point, someone was like, you can't do that. Like, oh, sorry, but now I'm an expert on your files. I know all your numbers. Do you want charts and graphs? I can do anything.
Okay, so it's a big question. If you could leave one tip for the people listening, and it was the only message you could give them and the only chance you had to say it, what would that be?
That's a good one. I would say that you can actually do anything. That would be it. I mean, anything that comes up, there's a way to figure it out. There's always a way to do it. And if you don't do it, somebody will do it. So you can do everything.
Perfect example. You shouldn't have gotten the promotion because you didn't have the 4 years, but right. I'm going to create that opportunity for myself.
And I shouldn't have a business right now, but I do, So some people were out on their own when coronavirus started and they didn't do it. And they're going to try to start now, or they're going to try, and here I am, I'm busy, I'm happy, I'm loving what I'm doing, so pushing forward is so important. And when it's hard, that means it's going to be more rewarding. So the harder it is, the more you have to push. I mean, there's just no way around it. And
there's wonderful results at the end.
Absolutely.
And fulfillment. And it's not just monetary, it's fulfillment. It's every morning when you do your coaching call that lights you up, it lights up the other person. So there's so many other benefits than just monetary benefits. Awesome.
I totally agree with that.
So is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience? And I know that you have a free discovery call that they can schedule with you, but is there anything else that you would like to share? And then we'll tell them where to go to get that discovery call.
Well, the other thing that I'm working on now is a Facebook group, and it's part of, this kind of using experiences to inspire others. It's for women. And it's called Make the Move, business discussions. And it's all about, just telling your move story. So a time where you made a decision, had to make a move when you were afraid, when you, really had to push through, and just having people share those stories and then read about it. And that would be one thing where if you have a story, go post your story, inspire others. If you want the inspiration, go, read some of the things that are posted there. Last night we were doing what would we tell our 25-year-old selves, and there were several women on there that were 25 or younger, and they were like, oh, this is perfect. I can read all of this advice. And so I love that. I think that's a preview of some of my future plans and what I want to do. So that is something, if you go to my Facebook page, you can join the group and be a part of it. That's a priority for me.
Great. And then where would they go to schedule that discovery call?
It's ScottiWorks.net. So
Okay.
SCOTTI works.net.
Okay. WORKS.net. Perfect. And you said it's like at the bottom of your page where it says free discovery call?
Yes, you can schedule it right there on the website.
Perfect. Awesome. I loved talking to you. I think you have great vision and structure, and I just love what you're doing. I think you could help a lot of people, because there's a lot of us that are just in the creative space but need that guidance of somebody that's been in all positions in a corporate job and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's wonderful. So, well, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you. And
thank you for having me.
Yes, and hopefully we'll have many, many more interactions and interviews and stuff in the future. And I will be joining that Make Your Move or Make the Move Facebook group. I love that.
That would be wonderful.
I love the inspirational stories. That's why I'm doing this. That's why my coaching platform's called Only the Inspired, because if you can inspire that and light that up, that people, they feel like something's in them, but don't really know how to get it out. But hearing other stories is like, oh my gosh, I could do this too.
I totally agree. I think anyone can tell someone they can do something, but when they see other people do it, when they see people's experience and they see start to finish the results, that's when they really get inspired. Not from here's 10 steps to make your day more productive, but like, look what I was able to do just by implementing these small changes, like those types of things. So I think it's great. And the word move sticks with me. So Move Media is my other project now, because of that word. And a lot of this is a result of me feeling stuck and needing to make moves. So Make the Move made sense. And it's kind of like around this new brand that I'm creating. So it's really exciting.
I can't wait to hear about the new brand.
Yes. Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. All right. Thank you so much. And we will talk to you later. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please share this interview if you think it's going to help anybody. We're all in this together. We're all collaborating. We're all sharing inspirational stories and visions and stuff like that. And just one click of the button to share and help spread the word would be amazing. So thank you so much. Okay. So what was that like for you?
It's always so interesting to watch yourself and to hear yourself talk. I feel like, I'm sitting there just waiting for the wrong word to come out or something that I can critique. It's totally my personality, but yeah, no, it's really interesting because you're kind of documenting like the beginning of my business right there. So it's interesting, but a lot of it is still so similar. I feel like I've progressed, I've moved forward in a lot of ways. And we never show how the bad days are. Like I feel like, wow, like she has it all together in that interview. It's like, the day before and the day after could have been like wild, crazy, overwhelming days. And so much goes into starting a business. I was just saying this morning, like the word of the year for business owners is like frustration. I don't know about anybody else, but like taxes, I'm like, every time the taxes come up or a question about taxes, it's just like immediately infuriating. And I get all overwhelmed and I start, over here and over there. So it's interesting to watch. I mean, I feel like it's good because I started laying the road down in the direction that I wanted to go. And I've stayed, on the road, even though some things have changed and things are growing and other things are changing. So it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like a time capsule.
Yeah. My word this year was consistency, because that's really an area that I struggle with. And so, when you commit to a 31-day summit, You have to show up no matter how you're feeling. But so how has the Make Your Move thing, how has that grown since our interview? And that was almost 3 months. So how has that gone?
Yeah, so I've shifted almost all of my energy into building Move Media, and it's a platform. It's a company for primarily women in media. I work with women who own their own businesses, who have shows, either radio, TV, podcast. I mean, anything that they do where they're hosting and they're kind of doing everything. Because when you're a small business, that's what you do. You do everything. So Move Media kind of comes alongside of these women business owners to handle more of like the business side and the structure side, so that they can focus on making their show the best that it can be, dealing with guests and interviews and doing everything on air. I've never really had any desire to be on air. I'm more behind the scenes. So it's kind of perfect because I can come alongside and we handle social media, websites. We work with, administrative tasks with guests. And then I do all of the business strategy. I work with all of the sponsors. I create new revenue streams. We come up with ideas. I work with everyone in the business. So it's great. I absolutely love it. It takes my passion for media and radio and combines it with my passion for growing women in the business field and empowering women to be able to do more and grow and scale and have support. And so a lot of my energy and effort goes into that, but that same first coaching client, he is still my client. I still do coaching. I still love waking up in the morning and doing my coaching first to start the day. And so it's been really good. The coaching is more limited because I'm focusing on the media company a lot more, but so many of the areas that we work in the coaching, it translates over to what I'm doing with media. So I'm still coaching, just in a different role.
Got you. And we talked a little bit before we came on live today. So how does it feel? So you were in that corporate business in the radio station for a long time and you loved it and you felt like there's more to radio. So how does it feel now to be able to create all of those other things that you wanted to, but were kind of limited? Obviously now you're doing it all. So there's got to be, a lot on your plate at the same time. Freedom. So can you go into that a little bit?
Yes, I think the same thing, what I talked about before. It's such a change to have accountants and, owners and people, and there's so many people around. So you're focused on your one area. So whatever your position is, you focus on that one area. When you're a business owner, there is no area. It's just a whole splatter. You have to be able to move and bob and weave around things and learn new things. There's surprises every day, but it's amazing. I wouldn't change it. I knew that something had to change for me, and this was definitely the right move. I think that it's hard to make the initial change, but that resigning from that job, I was there for 17 years almost, and that resignation empowered me to literally change everything in my life where I was not happy with it. And so at first, and then coronavirus, that was a curveball, but I just feel like if I didn't make those changes and I didn't do that, then so many other things wouldn't have been changed. And now the concept of like designing where I want my life and my business to be. And it's not just about business only. It's like your whole mindset. And I work with a mindset coach. I have so many coaches and people, and I really try to utilize everyone's experience as much as possible, because your brain, your mind, where your focus is, it makes all the difference in the world. Because like I said there, how many people would have gotten into that situation and said, oh, this is not the right time to start a business, I'm going back to my job? And I know a lot of people that would have. So, really challenging yourself and moving things forward is important. And that's where, when things are really hard, the reward is much better. So now I have my own business and I'm thrilled and I love it. And I get to work with clients and meet new people every day. And it's fun. It's all virtual, which I don't love, but we're making the best of it. And people like you who've utilized this time to build these virtual platforms where we have attention of people, and it's amazing. And everyone has a different story about 2020 and coronavirus, and mine is going to be, one of great change,
Right.
but huge reward.
Right. Well, and it all depends on the perspective. So yeah, sometimes, the situation sucks for a lot of people, but at the same time, it is a perfect time to start something new, something completely out of the box, because what was in the past is not even a possibility at the moment. So what new can we start? What new can we do? And what I absolutely loved about your interview, one of the things is you're the first person that says, I'm inspired by the 19-year-old me. And I think that's amazing, and that you want to inspire other young women like that, because, wow, and I think a lot of times they don't really have a lot of guidance. And so I love that you do that. I think that's amazing that you do that. And yeah, and I'm proud of you that you stood up, and stuck up for yourself. It's like, give me 30 days. I'll prove I could do it. And, that's just awesome. And so we need a lot more people like that. And, if you can inspire this whole next generation, they're going to be in charge of us. They're going to run the country when we're older. So yeah, how perfect can that be? Yay. I am so grateful for you, and I am so excited about what you're doing. Yay. That's just awesome. And I'm glad you stepped into your power, and it, might be messy because it's COVID, but it was the perfect time for you. And I'm glad that you pushed forward, even though it was not ideal, at least what it appeared to be. You know what I mean?
I agree. And it would have been messy because it's Laura, like that's the way I do things anyway. So make the best of everything, no matter, whether it looks the way you expected it to look or not. Find the positive and find the opportunity and make it work. And so, I mean, this is something that, we probably couldn't have planned for, who really has that in their mind, but coming out of it and being able to overcome all the challenges that COVID brought. And, we kind of laugh about it right now, but if we think about a year from now, when we look back and think about the strength and the challenge and everything that we had overcome, I mean, it's going to be very empowering. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to look back and feel proud of myself because, we had all of these things going on and everything felt upside down, and I still pushed forward and I didn't give up.
Absolutely. Yay. Very cool. Well, thank you, my dear, for being here. Caleb is here. I don't see his video, so we'll bring him up in a minute. Oh, there he is. Here, I'll bring him up so you guys can say hi real quick. Hello.
Hello.
Hey. How you doing, ladies?
Good.
Good.
Can you possibly raise your camera, because I have a logo right next to your face? Well, it might change when I change this. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
It should change when you change your view. Yeah.
Yeah, it should change. Yeah. So Laura, this is Caleb. Laura, do you guys know each other from A360?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so, Laura. I don't think we've connected yet, have we?
We should, though.
We absolutely should. I love what you said about find opportunity and make it work. I'm 100% with you. And half that battle is learning to recognize opportunity, isn't it?
I totally agree, because it doesn't always look like opportunity. That's for sure.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And I love your testimony of, I just caught the end here, but your pivot and the shift with, this global crisis and pandemic, it was similar for me. I just, things accelerated to a whole nother level unexpectedly, right? But I had prepared myself, it was my perspective going in that, I'm going to dig my heels in and grow. So
yeah, those are the great stories that I feel like are going to lead industries now for the next decades. So good for you. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit now.
Sky's the limit, baby.
But as you said, everything's virtual, and I love the in-person. I miss that. So
I miss it too. I need the in-person back.
yep.
Yep. I miss the hugs. Like I said, it's weird to see your friends and you're not sure if you can hug them, if you can fist bump, if you can, do the elbow thing. Yeah, it's just awkward right now. But we people need to congregate, and whether, if that's virtual for now, that's virtual for now. But anyways, thank you so much again, Laura. I appreciate you. I loved your interview and I'm super excited for the things that are coming in your life.
Thank you. It's great to be with you now twice, and I look forward to watching everything that you're producing with your platform here.
Thank you. Woo! Getting excited. Yeah. So, all right, I am going to hide you, and then we are going to do Caleb's interview. If you want to stay till the end, you can, and I can bring you back up. We're going to talk to him for a few and then play his interview and then Q&A. And then if you're still here, I could bring you back up then if you want.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Have a great day, and we'll hopefully see you in a little bit. And by the way, so I will have Laura's giveaway in the Facebook group, in the Only the Inspired Coach Summit Facebook group. It's under the announcements. The guy swinging the thing. It says giveaways. So that's where you're going to be able to find her, and it'll actually say ScottiWorks. And so you can click on that link and send her a message directly from there. But I will have her link to get the discovery call. So that's where you're going to find that. And then you could always reach out to her in the group. And she's in the group under ScottiWorks. And so you could find that in there. And that, I love that the coaches are right there available. So yay. Anyways. All right, sister. I will see you in a bit.
Okay.
Okay. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you on this happy Saturday?
I am doing good. I was wondering, so there is another one. I was trying to keep track of how many Colorado Springs coaches I have. And I think Gary Martinez is where you guys are. I think there's like 5 of you guys that are all in the same. So there's you. There's
who else?
Oh, who else?
Probably people I don't even know are in Colorado Springs.
Yeah, and I'll look when we're on our thing, and then I'll let you know. But I think I have 4 or 5 of the coaches on the summit that are all in Colorado Springs. So that's the hot spot, huh?
It is, huh?
Yep, and you got the Pete Vargas there too. Yep, so awesome. I'm very excited about your interview and to share your story. You have such huge variety in your story, where you came from and the stuff you did in the middle. How cool was that? And then what you're doing now. So I am super excited to share with everybody what you're doing. And so, I just want people to think for a second after listening to Laura. So who would you want to make an impact? If you had a choice right now and you had to make a decision on what you wanted to do with the rest of your life and you had to do it, who would you want to impact? Who would you want to inspire? What would you do if you had to make that decision and that's what you get to do for the rest of your life? What would that do? What would that be? What would that look like? So think about that, because that can expand your ideas. And, Laura loved her job, but it wasn't fulfilling her. And now she's fulfilled and so excited about things that are happening. And same with Caleb. So think about those things. If you had to make that choice, get clear on what that would be, because you can make that choice and you can make that choice today. And we're all here. Only the Inspired's here. All of these coaches are here to help you make that happen. So let us know where you're tuning in from. And if you have any questions for Laura, you could put them in the chat. And also reach out to her in the group. And then as we're going through Caleb's interview, if you have any questions for him, put them in the chat. We'll go through those when we bring him back up. So is there anything that you would like to share before we go live or before we show your interview, Caleb?
Just so grateful and honored to be here, Robin. Thank you for your endurance. Thank you for your perseverance. And thank you for your willingness to, serve others through this endeavor. And I'm just grateful for the synergy we're creating here. It's wonderful.
Oh, it's so much fun. And yes, it's my pleasure. And I'm absolutely loving it. And, I feel, and I've said this a couple times, I feel like I'm in the cool kid club. You know what I mean? And so, yes, we want more people to join us in the Cool Kids Club. So, yeah, and it's lighting my days up, even though I might be sleepy here and there. I'm looking forward to it, and it's just such a joy to be able to share this message and try and inspire all the people listening, because all of your backgrounds are so diverse, and so I think it's absolutely beautiful. So I am going to share your interview. Go ahead and mute yourself, and then we'll bring you back up after the interview. And then we'll be open for questions and answers. So make sure, everybody, you let us know where you're coming in from and put any questions in the chat that you have. So here we go. Hello, everybody. This is Robin Leslie with onlytheinspired.com, and we're doing another amazing interview, and I'm super excited about this interview. So today we have Caleb Kid Coy. That's a tongue twister. And I am super excited to share his story and find out more about him. So in a couple of minutes, describe who you are and how you help people.
Thank you, Robin. Well, first of all, I really appreciate the opportunity to do this with you. It's a wonderful vision that you have cast, and I hope a lot of people will recognize that and come on board with it. As Robin said, my name is Caleb Kid Coy. I am a legacy consultant who spent a lot of years as a life coach, first of all, volunteering and working with a lot of nonprofit organizations, including the inner city streets of our great nation. I'm an NDE survivor, so I had a near-death experience at age 17. I wanted to be a rock and roll star, and that was my passion. But drugs got a hold of me, and I nearly lost my life to a meth overdose. So I was given a second chance. I believe there was divine intervention there, and I knew that my purpose was to help serve others and help others to overcome their struggles and their addictions and just rise up and be empowered, right, to find their passion and their purpose in this world. So today, after many years of life coaching, both in the entertainment industry and just with your everyday Joe struggling on the streets, I help people secure and protect their legacy. And my desire is that they can be remembered as a hero by their family members and by their loved ones and by the causes that they care about and support, instead of a procrastinator and irresponsible burden. So I believe we've dealt with a lot of misinformation or just lack of proper understanding and education around financial and legacy education. And so, we're bringing that to the forefront. And of course, we're able to leverage technology, and we utilize a digital estate planning platform that embeds attorneys into the process. So number one, it takes the intimidation out of estate planning, where people, basically come in at the mercy of attorney, and they don't know anything, and whatever the attorney is going to charge, whatever the attorney is going to tell them to do, that's what they do. And a lot of times it's not thorough, or what happens is they don't properly get their trust funded, which means their assets aren't accurately assigned to the trust. And so we utilize a team effort, Robin, and we go through a proprietary process that just really empowers people starting out of the gate with that education and presentation to help them understand what that process looks like that we're going to take them through, so that they got that peace of mind ahead of time, saying, really, this isn't as difficult as I thought it was. Maybe, it's not as complicated. So it feels really good after many years of working with various nonprofits and organizations, and just seeing that there was such a need out there for people to be empowered with the right education. And one of our estate planning attorneys was formerly a probate attorney, and horror stories, right? The tragedy of people who have suffered through that because they only had a will in place. And one of our catchphrases is, the only thing worse than not having a will is having a will. And what that means is you took the steps, right, to pass on what mattered to you, but it wasn't enough to protect your family members from having to go through that horrific probate process. So we want to rescue people from the jaws of probate, if you will, and help them secure a legacy. And that means so much more than money, Robin. It means their values and the things that matter to them, how they want to be remembered, right? In the way that their children and their grandchildren, perceive them. So it's a tremendous blessing and opportunity to be able to help people at this capacity.
Very cool. I think it's a very intimidating subject, where if you don't have the education, so every time I'm on an airplane, and I have life insurance, but every time I'm on an airplane, you get that little the little
Yep.
shaking, the turbulence. It scares the crap out of me. It's like, I should have done a will. What happened? So I have life insurance, but that doesn't say what happens to my kids, what happens to all that other stuff. But, and I have had friends that have gone through the probate for well over a year, and it's just a nightmare. And it hurts the family that has to go through that. It's a horrible process. So, maybe I can learn something today, because, I thought a will was good, but I heard that trusts are better. So I'm glad we're having this conversation. So how did you get started in that? Was it an event that happened, or a series of events that happened?
Our founder and a mentor and friend of mine, who we actually met back in 2006 in Houston at a finance conference. And so, again, at the time, my life revolved around just going out there, helping and serving and give. Pretty much to the point of burnout at one point, right? And so my religious upbringing, that's kind of right, all I knew. Okay, we just have to go out there and give it all away. And basically, I didn't understand my value yet fully, Robin, and I just didn't know how to put a number on that, and I really didn't care about it at the time. And so it's the unique thing about me is I've just always sincerely and passionately had empathy and compassion for other human beings, because I look death in the face. And so it was just like, okay, if I shouldn't be here and I was given a second chance, I need to help other people understand, we got one shot at this life, and we've got to make the most of it. So it was quite the journey for me, especially coming from a background and upbringing with a lot of poverty mindsets and mentalities. So I'm doing all this outreach work, and I'm basically running everything on donations, scraping by at times, scratching my head and going, okay, there's got to be a better way than bake sales and car washes, right? Because these were legitimate organizations doing good deeds, but they were reverting to these basic standards of fundraising, and now it's your GoFundMe's or whatever. And I think part of that was I saw a lot of false pressure put onto people, and coercion and manipulation in the name of religion and other things like that. And it left a pretty foul taste in my mouth. And I always valued the importance of being an individual who operated from a position of integrity. And I remember the days of doing business deals on a handshake with buddies, and then in retrospect getting screwed over and going, okay, I remember my wife Denise saying at one point, Caleb, you're gonna have to get everything in writing, man. And it's sad, but that's just the reality of where we are. And so I think, Robin, I had an expectation that because I was going to operate in integrity, the guy or gal on the other side was just going to do the same, and that's not the case. But I realized that I was creating a standard in my life, and I've worked very hard to do that. And I think we all have to have our own standards and values that we live by and adhere to. And for me, hell or high water, I don't give a rip if other people aren't going to live by that. I'm choosing to live by that standard. I always like to revert to, like the samurais. It's just, they had honor. I mean, I don't know, Robin, there just doesn't seem to be a lot of honor in our society these days. And so I think a lot of people are operating from a position of hurt, or, I know what it's like to have been betrayed. I know what it's like to have been used. I know what it's like to have been turned on by people. And I also understand the power in forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
True forgiveness from here, not here or here, but right here, it transforms you. And it's really for your own benefit, not even so much the other person, because, if you give somebody that power, over you, basically by holding offense against them, it paralyzes you in a lot of ways. And I think it's like a gangrene. It's like a cancer that can eat away at you. And so forgiveness has been transformative in my life and journey. And so, helping understand, other people understand that there's power in that. And, once they can operate from that place, they can start, to move ahead and move forward. Because I think a lot of people are just stuck, right? They're living in the past, or, one particular event that where they got totally screwed over, and they keep reliving that moment over in their minds. So a lot of my life coaching, right, was the experience, the personal experience, right? I went through a horrendous divorce with a very small child at the time. My oldest daughter was 16 months old, and having an upbringing with parents who are marriage and family counselors. I grew up a preacher's kid, so obviously, a lot of people understand why I rebelled so hard. But those morals and those values were instilled in me in a lot of ways, right? And so, I'm fortunate to have had that, and so to be able to go through what I went through, and just the school of hard knocks, and being flat on my face and getting the crap kicked out of me, and looking up at the sky and going, is it worth it to get back up again? So I'm so grateful for all those battle scars and those adversities and challenges I faced, because I've got warrior DNA in me. And it just, it doesn't go away. And, you hear it said, right, you only go through one battle to set yourself up for the next one. And that's okay, because life is full of adversity and challenges, and it's how we respond and how we react to those, to whether we overcome them or we go around that mountain again. And I've been around that mountain again, and that sucks. And I learned it the hard way, right? I ain't going around that mountain again. So you learn as you go.
Yep. If you don't learn it the first time, you will relearn that lesson will come over and over again. So you went from having an overdose at 17, and then you worked with rock stars and stuff, and then and now you're doing the estate planning. So how was that transition? How did that?
Yeah, it was an interesting transition, because early on, we, like I said, we did a lot of outreach work. And when I lived in Georgia at the time, we used to feed 400 or 500 homeless in downtown Atlanta area. And I just loved going out into the streets, into the projects and the ghettos. And I think because I faced death, I didn't have the same fear that some people say, why would you risk your life, Caleb, or put yourself? I just didn't think of it like that. I'm just like, okay, I'm here with a purpose, and I got to go to where these people are, right? Reach them where they are. So, it was an interesting journey, because we did a lot of that type of work, and, people that were just down and out, and that everybody was, overlooking the rejects and things like that. But it was always in my heart, right? Because I wanted to be a rock star. So it was always in my vision, I guess, right? That at some point, that was what I wanted to do, but I didn't exactly know how that was going to happen, because I wasn't well connected at that time. But it was actually my volunteer and my service and my philanthropic endeavors that landed me unexpectedly in this meeting with a nonprofit organization in Prescott, Arizona, with Katy Perry's parents, and Keith and Mary Hudson. And they knew who I was from this mutual nonprofit out of Oklahoma. And it was just so weird, because it was like, okay, this is not really seem like a coincidence, right? And so, we got to talking, and I had just been in Phoenix. And I just met Brian Headwelsh from the metal band Korn. So my forte growing up was metal music. I always loved rock, always loved metal. And Mary Hudson and I were talking, and she said, "Oh, I've been working with this group of this group of women in the home of Pam Mustaine." And I just was like nearly in tears. She didn't know I knew who that was, but her husband, Dave, I was, huge fan of him growing up, co-founder of Metallica and founder of Megadeth. And so through a series of events, I got invited to go to their home with Keith and Mary and work with them a bit, and went back home. I think it was around Christmas time. So I'd gone back home for Christmas, late 2006. And I got a call from Pam, from Dave's wife. And she says, "My gosh, Caleb, you're not going to believe this." And of course I go, "Oh no, is Dave okay?" Right. He's got his struggles, things going on in his life. She said, No, he's fine. She said, "Dave wants you to come back and work with us and stay in our home." I said, "Oh, wow, that's phenomenal. Let me check out my schedule and, see if this is going to be a possibility." She said, No. You don't understand, Caleb. Dave's never invited anyone to stay in our home before. And I'm like, well, that's a pretty darn big deal. So long story short, went back and, worked with them, stayed with them over New Year's, and that opened up some doors to start life coaching in the entertainment industry. And it was surreal at the time, right? It was a wonderful experience. And I kind of thought, Robin, that was it, right? That was my niche. I found it. That's what I was going to be doing. But my heart kept growing bigger in understanding legacy. And as I mentioned, that's at the time that I met our estate planning founder. And this guy just, had a background in genius in finance and understanding law and tax law and things like that. And I'm just scratching my head going, okay, I think I need to learn more about this. So a number of years passed, of course, before, and we had stayed in contact, but I said, you know what, I want to get more involved in this. And I got certified as an estate planning advisor through him and his company. And one thing led to another. And basically, Robin, I feel like all those years of volunteering and giving and serving into the legacy consulting was just like, it was an extension of it, right? It was, something I did out of the kindness of my heart and knowing I was given a second chance into going, okay, my legacy is growing bigger, my family's growing, and I've got a vision to help, thousands, if not millions of people in the world. And it's going to take some money to do that. And, my beautiful wife is from Sao Paulo, Brazil. And I remember the first time going down there and just, seeing the favelas, which are the equivalent, the projects are worse here in the States, and just wall to wall poverty and the orphans down there. There's a great movie, by the way, called Trash, about the orphan kids in the favelas down in Brazil, if anybody hasn't seen that yet. And I'm just like, you start to count on your finger, right? What's it going to take to actually make a dent and do some good? A couple $1,000s, no, tens of thousands, it's probably going to take millions and millions of dollars. So, and my entrepreneurial journey really didn't begin until 2010. I read a book called The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin, a second look at the Federal Reserve. And he wrote about the entire history of the inception of the Federal Reserve and the gold standard before we had the fiat dollar. And I'm just going, this is like a 450-page some book, right? It's no joke. And I'm going, holy Toledo, Batman, there is a whole world out there that I had no idea how it worked or operated. So that invoked my curiosity to start studying finance and banking and things like that. And started my first LLC. And, it was a lot of stumbling and fumbling my way through. But I talked about it in my video today. It was self-education. I just started reading books. I'll never forget sitting right up here on my shelf, the first time I read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And I'm just like, hair on the back of my neck is standing up, and I'm going, oh my gosh, this is really possible. And again, remember, I came from this poverty mindset and background. So that wasn't even, in my mind, it wasn't even something that was possible. So it just opened up this new world, and I was so hungry, reading and learning and educating. So I think a lot of the power in my story or my testimony, if you will, is the fact that I didn't go to school for this. I didn't go to college, right? When I graduated high school after my near-death experience, I moved out to Illinois and I went to work for my aunt, who was the manager and part owner of a Ramada Plaza hotel. So I got my feet wet in the hotel industry. And of course, I already loved people, and I was actually the night manager there for a while. And so it was, it was just kind of natural for me, but that was kind of where the progression began, And so my entrepreneurial journey started late. And I think, again, my success is a lot attributed to the fact that I legitimately cared about people going in. It wasn't about money. I didn't have a background in sales. And, we talked about my recent exposure in the sales and marketing challenge that Pete Vargas hosted in Rise Up World. And, that was just so unexpected to get to share my story in front of thousands of people. But that was a result of self-investing, right? Just years and years and years. People don't see, right? Those overnight successes that we hear about are the exception to the rule. The rest of us, right? We have to trudge and drudge and go through hell and back multiple times. And then people go, oh, well, and it's like, yeah, I've had to work for this. It wasn't easy. And I think over the years, how many times I thought to myself, Robin, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if I can make this work. I remember, just being in that place where I'm going, maybe it's time to move on. But something inside of me just said, and this is the difference when you believe in who you are, and when you believe in the power of the product and the service that you are providing to somebody else that is going to help solve an epic problem in their life and, get them away essentially from someone who is going to take advantage of them. I mean, it just makes it easy. So for me, I didn't have the background in sales. I didn't even like the term sales, but as I understood, okay, true servitude is selling, it is sales, I started to adapt and embrace that. And it's become more and more natural than ever before. I couldn't say it's, as natural as it could be yet, but like everyone else out there, I'm still learning and growing. And when we surround ourselves with the right people and cut ourselves off from the relationships, right, that aren't focused as to where we want to go, right? Because I'm a huge believer in that we create our environment. We create an atmosphere around us. And so I know for me, it meant cutting certain relationships out of my life, or at least distancing, right? I don't mean, I don't think we should drop the ball or just burn bridges, but I think we have to separate ourselves because, as Harv said today, create your environment, create that atmosphere. And so, I had a lot of stinking thinking for a lot of years that had to be uprooted. And I had to deprogram that before I could reprogram it with the right information. So,
and that's where
it's been a journey.
Yeah, that's where the self-education comes in. And even those overnight successes, you don't know if they studied or worked on themselves for 15 years, but it looks like they just instantly came out of nowhere. But yeah, normally there's a whole bunch behind that.
Exactly. So
describe your ultimate vision for your business.
My ultimate vision, I kind of went into the question today, which was, what's your purpose in the wealth you want to create? Again, my purpose is just to be able to serve humanity at an unprecedented capacity. And, my background, especially on the religious side of, it's humble to be broke, busted, and disgusted, didn't go too far, right? Because I watched so many of those people who thought like that. They didn't have the resources to help anybody. Money's just a tool, but if you don't got it, what can you actually do to help others? And so, my purpose is really to build a legacy, both for my family and loved ones, as well as the causes that I care about and support, but ultimately to transfer my passion and my heart for legacy building into others, so that not only can they build their legacy, but that they can change and shift, the paradigm and the mindsets that will allow them to start accumulating wealth so that we can do more good in the world. I mean, it's just, and I love what Harvard said, today about, the perception of what perception did we have of rich people and wealthy people growing up? Well, my perception and in my upbringing was, they're mean and nasty, and, you don't want to be like that. And, he said today, they're some of the kindest and most generous people I know. So, I mean, again, it took a good portion of my life to get that stinking thinking out of there and to realize, okay, if we really want to make an impact in the world today, then it's going to require us to steward, if you will, a lot of resources, in order to make a dent, in the hurt that's in the world and the struggle. And, a big part of my journey is being a voice to the voiceless and people who don't have the resources to be a voice. And my studies and research into international law is to help educate people who don't have that knowledge and understanding so that they can, protect themselves, empower themselves, build a legacy that allows them to make an impact, for generations to follow. So I think it's that long-term perspective that we say, okay, what can we impart to our children and our grandkids so that they can do more than what we do, right? So they can continue to carry that legacy on into future generations. And so, we're at such a volatile and critical time in history and society. And yet I see so many people, shrinking back and going, okay, I'm going to wait out the storm, Caleb, or I'm just going to kind of sit back here and spectate. And I'm going, nope, that's not going to work. You're going to have to become an active, engaged participant and get out there and make a difference. And I said it in the video again today. The phrase I often heard growing up was, "Oh, Caleb, I'm just here waiting for my ship to come in. One day my ship's going to come in." It finally dawned on my lightning quick mind after 3+ decades. I think you got to go out and find that ship. And now, even more than that, I'm building my own ship, and
you might have to build it.
I want to go, right, Robin?
Mm-hmm.
So, just so passionate about helping people shatter that mindset, create their world, create their environment, and build a legacy that, impacts generations to come.
I love that. And what you made me think of when you were talking just there is the outsiders. So you had, you had the socias, you had the South Side or whatever. So you had the poor guys, which is Tom Cruise and all of them. And then you had the rich ones, and they hated each other because they weren't familiar with each other.
Yep.
Just they're the enemy when they weren't really, but, because we weren't familiar with that side. So I thought that was interesting, and it came up to me.
And that's a great analogy, Robin. And it makes me think of a point I made earlier, and that was human beings tend to judge and criticize what they don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can have more empathy and more understanding, we're going to find less criticism and fault finding in our world.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And once you can actually get to know them, just like, a lot of times we think they're rich and snobby and, and then T. Harv Eker, he's saying, no, they're some of the most friendly people. And, I've always had that drive to create great wealth, and it's not for me, but the greatness that I could do with that, I can't help very many people when I'm flat broke, but I could help a shit ton of people if I had more than enough. You know what I mean?
Come on now.
And that right. And so it wasn't that I'm greedy and I want to be a billionaire. Is I want to, it hurts me if I can't help people, starving people or people who need a house, or, all those people like you were talking about from the movie Trash. What if great wealth can make a huge impact on all of those people? You can't do it if you're broke. But you can make a much bigger impact if you create that legacy. So what beliefs do you have that set you apart from your competition? Other financial, are you a financial planner?
Well, you have these titles, right? Which, don't mean a lot to me, but I understand it adds credibility. A legacy consultant, certified estate planning advisor, a licensed insurance agent in the state of Colorado. One of the titles I like to use is AI wealth services disruptor, because a big part of what's come to the forefront in our industry, or at least, for me in particular, as an add-on to help protect people and help them grow their estate, is the wealth services side. And our platform is, proprietary software based. And so a lot of what you're seeing out there today, everything in the world of Forex and trading to cryptocurrency and blockchain, which has come to the forefront, is something that I'm becoming heavily active in. And so, in fact, since this crisis really hit, a lot of my trust clients have moved their retirement accounts into these type of accounts because, number one, they produce better, and there's actually more long-term safeguards as well. So, we're finding that a lot of people are outliving their retirement, and or their retirement accounts aren't growing fast enough to keep up with inflation. And, we don't have time to get into it, but the more that you print this fiat currency, the more inflation goes up and the less value or power the dollar actually has. And so, that's what we're seeing, especially as we're, pumping all this stimulus money back into the economy in the midst of this crisis, is that we're actually devaluing the power that's in the dollar. So I see a lot of people moving into the cryptocurrency arena because of its transparency, right? It's, the blockchain is transparent. You see what's going on. There's no, secret behind the scene bankers doing stuff and, loaning out people's money without their knowledge and things like that. So it's incredible. One of the creators is a founder of what we know as the hurricane tracking software, right? It's stuff, the algorithms that track hurricanes and, show their patterns and things like that. So, this stuff has been around for a long time. And again, artificial intelligence before, for me, was something that was spooky. Computers are going to take over the world, and maybe they will one day. I don't know, right? But at the same time, I'm going, wow, it's this technology that's allowing us to, empower ourselves and be able to, predict certain cycles coming down the path, which essentially allow people to build wealth quicker and at a greater capacity. Because it breaks my heart, Robin, to think that people, they've worked their whole lives and they want to just enjoy a nice retirement, right? They want to be able to travel and see the world and leave something significant to their children and grandkids. But if they're outliving their money and they have to go back to work at Walmart, that just sucks butt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how else to put it, right? That's horrendous. So, thankfully people are living longer, but we don't want people outliving their money. So, that's one thing that we do. Number one, get them out of probate, help their family avoid that, treacherous public process where anybody can contest their estate. And okay, number one, get their finances protected. Then we take them through that process of saying, okay, what can we do now? Where can we move your money around? What can we do to help you grow these accounts? And, again, on these wealth services side, it's great because we don't just offer that to retired families. One of my heart's cries from an educational standpoint is to target and reach younger families, right? Especially if they're parents with kids, and say, hey, you can start planning and preparing today so that you don't have to think about coming up with the money, for your kids' college education or whatever when the time comes, or, you want to be able to buy them a car, or just, not have enough money to take a nice vacation, that those little things that matter, so much to us, and build a legacy of memories, right? So, these type of things allow people who don't have retirement accounts to get started, to start growing their wealth, growing their assets, and essentially create, not only a passive income stream, but supplemental income while they're between jobs, or, while they're, on unemployment, maybe in the midst of this crisis. So it makes my heart happy to have this opportunity. And again, the big challenge is just educating people and letting them know, that these type of things are out there, they do exist, and that they can, empower them. Because again, I mean, we can think back to maybe older savings account when, you had a interest rate of 4 or 5%, or a bank account, right? Today, I mean, you're lucky if you get 1%. It's not going to do anything for you, on the long run. You have to put your money somewhere where it's multiplying and it's growing compound interest. So that's one of my go-tos, is talking about compounding interest, as Warren Buffett and others, talk about it as like the eighth wonder of the world. And that's what AI and, proprietary software are doing. They're creating compounding interest and allowing people's money to grow a lot quicker than they could anywhere else. So.
Wow. Yeah, there is definitely a lack of education. Total lack of education. And I've seen Forex in my email inbox for years now. I have no idea what Forex is. I don't know what cryptocurrency is or the blockchain, but I've heard of all of them in the book that you mentioned earlier. You were the second person in about 2 weeks to mention that book.
I love to hear that.
Yeah. So what was the hardest thing to overcome when starting your business?
Everything.
Welcome to entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah. Definitely the mindsets, Robin. Definitely the am I really equipped to do this? Blah, blah, blah. I didn't have the college education. I didn't go to school for this. Am I qualified? Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? All that stuff, that we all tend to question ourselves in one way or another. But it took me a while to realize that the fortitude and the grit, and in my signature talk, I call it thick rhino hide skin that I acquired, through my challenges and adversities, really built some entrepreneurial DNA, in me. And because I remember joking to my wife the other day, I was just like, man, being an entrepreneur and business owner is a lot harder than, the 9 to 5. And when I first, got off drugs and I started my journey as a teenager, I was working in a sawmill for 10, 12 hours a day, pulling boards. And I mean, that was no joke. And then I went to work for the union, digging underground holes all day long in 95-degree weather with humidity where, you're 2 hours from home. And if you get in that truck and turn on the AC, you're like,
no, I bet.
You're screwed, yeah. So you don't use the AC until the day's done. And I reached this point where I was like, okay, I'm getting older here. I'm not going to be able to use my brawn my whole life. And I enjoyed physical labor. I learned a lot from having work ethic, which I think a lot of our younger generations do not have today. We're not taught that. So, I'm grateful that I acquired that, but I also realized if I can use my brain to make money instead of my brawn, that's going to work. And now if I can use an artificial intelligence computer's brain to make money, that's even better.
Yeah, for sure.
Less brain power for me is always better. So, yeah, but of course, I'm a husband and an active dad. I've got 2 beautiful daughters. One's a teenager, one's 3-year-old toddler, and then we got a baby boy on the way in December. So yeah, I'm so stoked. But that is a big, part of my heart and background is just empowering families. I mean, having gone through a tragic divorce and the legal battles of having to fight for a child, I wouldn't wish that on anybody at any point in time. It is terrible. I mean, the emotions and the stress and the trauma, and that's why I said, you have to go through that forgiveness and healing process. And so, now I think it's helped me to have even deeper gratitude and appreciation for the importance of solid family units, right, and relationships. And hey, we're far from perfect, man. We got our struggles, we got our issues like anybody else. I don't want to sugarcoat anything, but at the same time, I know that we're pretty solid. We understand what it means to fight for what you believe in and fight for each other, and just have a set of values that. And I attribute it to having parents who are marriage and family counselors, because I saw them counsel a lot of people, which I think would have looked like totally hopeless situations. But if those 2 individuals are willing to make a choice, and they both have to make that choice and that decision, right, that we're going to make this work, that, anything can ultimately be reconciled, be healed, and be restored. So, my life is definitely a testimony of that. And, having gone through what I went through, I really do value that, the importance of the strength in a family unit, because I believe the foundation of our society and our nation is directly relative to the strength of the family unit. So, I do share those values, and nobody's perfect. And, you don't judge any people, and there's situations where maybe there's not a remedy. But I always try and tell people, dude, the grass ain't greener on the other side. I can guarantee you that. You're one imperfect human being choosing to live with another imperfect human being. And I think that's where maybe I look at love a little bit differently, Robin, that it's not a feeling, it's not an emotion. Ultimately, true love is a choice. Like every day you choose to wake up and love another human being who is as imperfect and who has as many flaws as you do, right?
Yep.
And you're not always going to agree. You're not always going to see eye to eye. You maybe not always going to get along, but you choose, right? I love you for who you are. And I think as we practice that more and more, loving people for who they are, right where they're at, that, it's going to take us a long way in restoring relational breaches and restoring generational breaches, right? Where we can start to turn the hearts of the fathers and the mothers back to the children. I mean, even with technology, right? It's a challenge. Just there can be such a gap, right? In this, face-to-face interaction, and especially now with the crisis, right? We're doing everything virtually, right? We're doing everything Zoom. And so it adds a lot more, I guess, importance to focus on how we're handling things at home, right? Because you hear the amount of divorces are up and domestic violence and suicide because people as a whole, I don't think they're used to spending a lot of time, maybe necessarily with their significant other. And, I'm grateful for having that in my wife. She's not only my wife, she's my business partner. She's my confidant. We already spent the majority of our time together at home. So, maybe we had a bit of an advantage, but we also worked through a lot of crap, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I like to make the statement, you really can't become lifelong friends with someone else until you get past each other's worst. So I value long-term relationships, and I see too many people bail early, right? They get pissed off or they get offended and they're like, screw you, dude, I'm out. And it's like, how much more valuable is it if we work through our differences and we work through our problems? And again, I know there's situations where it's, it's not going to happen, or you maybe don't share the same values, so you have to part ways. I get that. But if there's a way that you can, build a long-term relationship, I've got one friend who we've been friends for life since we were both in diapers, and he's Buffalo Bill Cody's great grandson. We both grew up in Cody, Wyoming, and we both started learning music and playing guitar together. And he became a producer out in Atlanta, and I became a life coach in the entertainment industry. And to this day, 4 decades plus later, we're still good friends. And so that's pretty precious to have a story like that. And it's not too many people, right, that you've been friends with your entire life.
No. I have friends from high school, and I have a bunch of friends here for the last 26, 27 years. But yeah, that's a lifetime. I moved around lots, so. So getting a little short on time. So this question is like personal to me. Do you have the support network of friends and family encouraging you to do this, or is this something that you feel compelled to do, that you're going to do it no matter what?
A little of both, Robin. That's an extraordinary question, because I think initially, right, I had to prove to myself, and I had to prove myself. And so, now I'm very grateful to say, yeah, I do have a phenomenal support system. And I think even family members who at the time, were maybe questioning what the heck are you doing, they realize, I put my heart and soul into this and how seriously I take it. And now my message is resonating around them with other people, and, family members who haven't done anything, because again, you're dealing with two of the most sensitive topics in people's lives, their money and their mortality. And it wasn't easy. And, one close family member of mine, it took me about 8 years to finally get them to do what they needed to do and set up their trust. And at the point where I was ready to give up, it's just like, okay, there's only so much you can do, because at the end of the day, right, the person's got to make that choice. But I think I'm doing a good job now in getting my message across to people, and in more layman's terms. And plus they understand how passionate I am about it. It's not just, it's not just a job for me. It's who I am. It's what I believe in, and it's serious. And so, being able to use the state of this world we're presently living in, I think is helping to bring that to the forefront where people were, brushing it aside before, and it was one of those, I can just do it tomorrow type of things. And they're going, yeah, I really can't put this off any longer. I need to do something about it. And, Caleb can help me get this done for a fraction of the cost of what it would normally take. And, he's going to be there to hold my hand and walk me through it. So.
Yep. Hold on. Okay, so what is your favorite thing about your business?
My favorite thing about my business, I think, is to experience the feedback and just the sense of relief and gratitude that people have. I mean, a lot of them have it just after my, initial presentation. They go, "Oh my gosh, Caleb, I've been trying to get this information for years, and I thought I had to go to some high-powered attorney." But then when we actually take them to the process, right, and they have their trust set up and things are in place, I mean, just the peace of mind, knowing that they've taken care of something that I think it really can hang over your head for a lot of years. I mean, even good, well-meaning people, and I get it. It's just because they didn't have the right information or knowledge. It's not that they set out to put it off, but they did, and those years go by, and it's just like, oh my gosh, anything could happen to me or my wife at any point in time, and we just don't have this set up. So I always like to refer to, one of my clients, Stan, and, his wife was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And they were just, really concerned that going down the road, they weren't going to be able to, cover all the costs of her medical bills and everything like that. So getting that done, and, they have kids and they have grandkids, right, would just brought them such peace of mind and, the assurance that their legacy could now pass unhindered to those that they really loved and cared about the most. So that brings the most joy to my heart.
Awesome. And I'm hoping this interview is going to get out to lots of people so they could reach out, that it's something that needs to be taken care of. Like I said, and, every time I have the turbulence on the airplane, I need to do my will. And then it goes away as soon as you're off the airplane. And then the next time, 6 months later, you're on an airplane. Oh, crap, I haven't done that yet. And it's something that has to get taken care of, but you could put it off because it's not in the forefront.
It'd be great to do a whole interview and just get people's stories on what goes through their minds when that turbulence hits, right? Yes,
I'm a big sissy. I do not enjoy turbulence, or when it drops, when the plane drops, it's like, oh my gosh. So what inspires you? What are you passionate about? And it doesn't have to be business.
Well, my hashtag on all my socials is metalpreneur. And again, that is my background in history and music. Of course, I did the rock and roll band thing for years, but even though there's parts of me that are grateful that I didn't go down that road, right? Because I worked with a lot of artists, I go, man, I appreciate my privacy, right? I can imagine being followed around with paparazzi all the time. So I don't envy that at all, but music is such a near and dear passion of my heart. And, there's probably, not an hour in the day that doesn't go by that I don't have my noise canceling headphones on, right? Rocking it out while I'm writing or doing my computer work or whatever. So, I love music, not as much as I used to, but when I can, I pick up my guitar, and I love playing tennis these days. That's kind of my go-to, and working out, and hopefully I'll get to go back to the gym here soon, God willing, and staying in shape. And again, back in the day, right, when I was coming off drugs, I just started to bring health to the forefront of my life, right? I started actually fasting a lot 23 years ago. So now intermittent fasting and, health and biohacking and things like that, it's just so important, because I realized, right, that I operate at a higher capacity. The healthier I am, the better I feel. And, when I slack off on that, I don't get the stuff accomplished that I know I could when I'm in that,
a highly tuned machine.
Yep,
Mhm.
you got it.
So
Especially to keep up with a 3-year-old, Robin. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well,
She's
I'm
a
pretty.
firecracker.
And you're gonna have another one right behind.
Yeah.
So who inspires you?
Oh, who inspires me? I got a lot of inspiration in my life. You know, my mentors. You know, like Gary, our founder. My wife inspires me. You know, she's been such a strength to me. You know, over these years and encouragement. I mean, it makes a huge difference because I did the single dad thing for a lot of years, and you know, I appreciate that part of my journey. But it sure is better to have that journey with somebody else. But I mean, I just, you know, so many inspirations in the books that I've read. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Napoleon Hill's writings, and I, you know, often wish, man, I wish he was still here today. I could meet him in person. But you know, like I coaches Vargas and Pat Quinn, you know, Pete and Pat, these people that I've met. Just such a huge inspiration, you know, to me. And I watched recently The Last Dance on Netflix, which is about the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan. And I was a huge Bulls fan growing up, and I loved basketball as a kid. And it was interesting because it provoked a lot of memories and emotions from childhood. And when I would watch him play, it's funny. It almost brings me to tears. But it's amazing the impact that somebody from a distance can have on your life. I don't know that I'll ever be like Mike, but I'll never forget the song, you know, the ad, like Mike, if I could be like Mike, you know. And so just, you know, it brought back a lot of memories. And I think throughout the course of our lives, especially in different phases, right, people come into our lives and just depending on where we are, bring a, you know, huge inspiration and motivation to us. And as far as, you know, music inspires me. A lot of these bands that I love, I haven't necessarily met them. I don't know their, you know, their person or their character, but the leaders and mentor that I've got to know and have got to see that the character of who they are aligns with their values, those type of people are a huge inspiration. Because I think you can have gifts and talents all day long, right? That doesn't mean it's a reflection of who you are as a person. So, you know, getting to work with and see people whose character lines up with what comes out of their mouth and their values is a huge inspiration to me.
Exactly. So last question, if you could leave one tip or golden nugget for the people listening, and it was the only thing you could say and your only chance to say it, what would that be?
Tomorrow's not guaranteed. Every single day is a gift, and make the most of each and every moment of every single day. I think we often think, you know, hey, I'll see him tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. And, you know, having lost a loved one who's dear to me, my aunt, to cancer, we were so close. I just go, you know, life is very, very precious. So do what you want to do. You know, you got your dreams, you got your bucket list. Don't wait till you retire. You know, start pursuing your dreams and the passions in your heart today. Because again, you know, you never know. This life goes so fast, doesn't it, Robin? I mean,
It does.
it just is like, especially as we get older. So, you know, carpe diem, seize the moment, capitalize on today, and make yourself happy. You know,
Absolutely.
get yourself happy and healthy first, and then you can better take care of those other people around you.
Yep. So I know that you're going to give away, so it's healthcare documents. You want to talk about that real quick?
Oh, yes, real quick. So, healthcare documents, which include advanced medical directives and medical power of attorney. And that's things like, you know, what do you want to happen to you when you're in a medical emergency? You know, do you want to be on life support? Are you an organ donor? All those little things. But if you were to get into a car accident that put you in a coma or something that rendered you legally incapacitated, or your kids, if you don't have these documents in place, Robin, because of the HIPAA laws today, it can render you powerless for making decisions for your loved ones. And that's just not okay. That's just not acceptable. So that's near and dear to my heart. The healthcare document is also something that's part of our living trust portfolio that everybody needs to have as well to get out of probate. But this is something that's an extraordinary free gift. It's a $300 value for an individual, $600 for couples. But yeah, you can go over to my website and get that today. Fill that out digitally. There'll be a 20-minute video on how you do that after you subscribe for that. And yeah, get it done today.
Wow, tremendous gift. And so they're going to go to www.calebkidcoy.com/free gift.
You got it. Kid with 2 D's in the middle there. And yep, you can go straight to that page. Or if you go to the homepage, there's a video there as well that has an introduction by one of our estate planning attorneys. And you can hear it from her and then hear it from me again. But yeah, take action on that. It's not something we're going to give away forever. That may go away at the end of the summer here. So yeah, don't procrastinate there.
Gotcha.
It will help people to get a better gauge and understanding on how they can move forward and taking the proper steps to plan for their legacy and protect their estate and their loved ones.
That's a tremendous gift. Yay. So once again, go to www.calebkidcoy.com/free gift. So I want to thank you very, very much for being here, and thank you everybody for watching. Please share this video. Everybody needs to take care of these things, even though they might not be fun to do. They're necessary. And so give that gift. Extend that gift to everybody else by sharing this video. And thank you once again for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Robin.
You're welcome. And we'll see you later. Bye, guys.
Yay.
So what was that like for you? And I know we just did that. We just did that on the 11th, so 11 days ago. But
yeah, that was great. We covered a lot. I mean, thank you for your graciousness and and letting me be winded at times, Robin.
Oh, no problem. It was awesome, and yeah, you were on a roll. It's like, I'm gonna let them go with it.
I love it. Hopefully, yeah, it'll be something people can take time to process and go back and just say, this is serious stuff, and I need to get it done.
So, what would you say to people if they don't have a lot of assets? Is that something they still need to do? So, because there's a lot of people, it's like, well, I don't own my house, and I don't have a IRA account or a mutual fund account. What would you say to them about setting up their future? At least, setting up stuff for their kids.
The great
possibly.
part about a living trust, Robin, is that, it's going to make that smooth transition for your heirs much, much easier, even if you don't have a large estate. And we've found that oftentimes your tax regulations and things like that can be more impactful actually on the smaller estates than the larger ones. So there's thresholds depending on your state. Like if you're under this X amount of value, I think Colorado's like 64,000 or something. You don't necessarily have to have it, but why would anybody want their kids or their grandkids to have to probate and lose essentially 30 to 40% more of what they work so hard to accumulate over their life just to that ridiculous process? For me, it's like, if you can avoid it, and you can. And like we said, sometimes it's the kids that are getting their parents to take care of it. I can understand that situation, right? Because they're the ones that got to deal with it. Parents like, I'll be dead and gone. It doesn't matter. Well, it does matter. And I think any parent that truly cares, or any human being, right, that wants to leave something significant, why would you want to squander such a significant percentage when you don't have to? So, one of my catchphrases, the only thing worse than the pain of procrastination is the agony of regret. And so, again, why wait too long? I don't mean, well, Caleb, I'm not going to regret when I'm dead. well, what if something happens, unexpected? And again, it can be that medical emergency. It can be just, life scenarios that you are not prepared for. And if you don't have these documents in place. And again, what I love about our technology, 24/7 access. Anytime you have updates or changes, you buy a car, you sell a car, a couple clicks of the button in real time, verified e-sign, technology, and everything's current again. So it prevents people from having to go back to the attorney every couple years and, pay them exorbitant amounts to update the trust. So it's all done in real time and it stays, stays current.
I think that's fantastic. So everybody out there listening, if you have any questions about this subject, it's a subject that a lot of people don't understand, they don't know about, put them in the chat. And, just like he was saying, the healthcare documents, that's a $300 to $600 value, and it's limited time. So make sure you try and get that in the next day or two. And so talking about the healthcare documents. So back in the day, I went to school to be a nutritionist, and it really, it really scares you. But they talk about what happens if you're incapacitated and people aren't sure if you're brain dead or not. And if you don't have something written down, and what was it, Terry Shivey is a historical case where, the family was fighting, no, she's there, and they're saying, no, she's brain dead. But yeah, your hands are completely tied unless you have that document in place on what I want. Do I want to be put on life support? Do I not want to be put on life support? And unless there's something in place, your family has no control
Robin.
whatsoever.
And I just
right?
had a business coach say it to me the other day. He had gone in, I think, for a kidney stone. And that's one of the first things that they ask them, right? Any of us that have had our medical hospital experiences, right? Do you have a trust? Do you have a will? Do you have medical? I mean, they straight up ask you that, because that's stuff, right, we don't think about until we're in that situation, until we're in the airplane and the turbulence hits us, right? So.
And I've had personal friends where their parents are in the hospital and now they're incapacitated mentally, and they had never set up the will, the trust, any of that. And you can't necessarily get that signed in the hospital if they are not of clear and sound mind. And so, and that could happen in 3 hours from now if you get in a car accident. And, that's something I'm going to do in the next 3 months. I'm going to make sure I set that stuff up. But yeah, it could happen in the next 45 minutes. And then what's going to happen? And so that is all super important stuff, especially if you have kids, if you have stuff that you need to, that has to be taken care of, especially little kids. You don't, if you could specify where they go, I think that's tremendous. So I was looking, so there are 4 of you in Colorado Springs. So there's you, there's Gary Martinez, there's Robert Kittredge, and Vivian Cobb. And then there's and then there's 2 more Sherilyn's in Denver, and I'm not sure where Jennifer Wilcox is, but she's also in Colorado.
Right here.
Yeah, so very cool.
And I was reminded of the story that I share at my presentation sometimes, Robin. Older couple, let's call them Joe and Jan, right? Joe tells Jan, honey, they've been married 50 years. I'm going to Walmart for my weekly run. He's usually gone a couple hours, and 3 hours go by, and Jan says, yeah, Joe's taking a sweet time today, 4 or 5. Well, all of a sudden she gets a phone call from one of the managers at Walmart. Is, Joe so-and-so, your husband? Yeah. Well, Joe doesn't remember who he is or where he's at and what he's doing. Can you come and pick him up?
He had a stroke?
that fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
He left in sound mind, and he didn't come home with sound mind, and they didn't have those documents in place. And because, it's just all the little things we don't think about that can happen right at any given time. So.
No, and I think what you're doing is super important, that you're educating people, that you're making it so super easy. Yeah, people don't know what to do with the will. They don't know what to do with the living trust, and that you guys, and the investments and all of that stuff all combined. I think that is wonderful that you guys do that. And it's valuable, and we have to do it.
Yeah.
If you don't do it, it's going to cost your family so much more money. And if you can invest in it, so much more transparent. And you said the returns are better, like investing, right, in those cryptocurrencies and stuff like that. And I still don't understand those, but you got my brain thinking for sure. So I'm definitely gonna download this. And so what I want to ask you guys is, what legacy are you going to leave your family? And not just your family, what legacy do you plan on leaving the world? And that doesn't have to be financial. That could be impact. And think about those kind of things. We're shifting, instead of what the coaches could do, what can you do? What do you want to do with your life? And it's awesome to see what all these coaches have came up with their purpose. And sometimes it takes years to find out what our purpose is, what legacy we want to live. And that goes through life. It's a journey on life. But if that was today, what would that be? How could you make that happen? And how could you connect with those people that can help you make that happen? So think about those things. And yeah, so very important things. And I am very appreciative that you're here, and I love what you're doing, and I hope that this goes viral. And for everybody watching, please share the interview, invite people to watch it, do a watch party, because people need to know this. And go and download the healthcare documents, because that's something completely out of your control once you're gone.
Yep.
And then what's that going to do to your family? And it's actually, it could be completely out of your control if you have a head injury. And take care of it now before it's too late. And so I just have one quick question. So
where did I get my first billion? I got that from Alice Cooper.
Nice. He scared me when I was little. It was him and Ozzy, but mostly Alice. Alice. He scared me. Biting the. Well, and I know, didn't both of them bite the heads off of bats?
Oh, I think at one point or another, yeah.
And he was just so creepy to me when I was little. So what do you? And I only have a few minutes, so we're actually doing tomorrow's lives here in just a little bit, because I have my day job tomorrow, so we're going to actually film tomorrow's interviews in a few minutes. But so for the people doing reverse mortgages, do you have any suggestions on that whatsoever? And I understand you can't take stuff with you when you leave, right? You can't take your house with you when you leave this earth. And so I understand reverse mortgages. How does that affect your legacy? Do you know?
Not particularly my area of expertise, but what I do like to share is, people often look at, buying a home as, it's an asset. Well, ultimately, if that asset is not making money for you, if it's not a rental property, if you're not, renting out the basement to cover the mortgage, it's depreciating and it's a liability. Same thing with a new car, right? Immediately that's going to start depreciating. So while I'm not, I've got mortgage broker friends and people in that arena, I'm not, an expert in reverse mortgages, but I always like to get people thinking, along those lines, is what you're going to invest in ultimately an asset, or is it a liability? So I think people can save a lot of money in the long run, and there's a lot more frugality capabilities, if you will, in our American society. I think of the book, The Millionaire Next Door, right? Everybody wants to live this American dream, illusion, fantasy, call it what you want, have the fancy house, but be up to their ears in debt with a mortgage they can barely pay, and, Beamer, Mercedes car payment they can barely afford. For what? Millionaire Next Door teaches frugality. You work your way in. you don't have to drive a fancy car. I mean, when you get your millions, do what you want. That's, that's, that's between you and the big man. But, ultimately while you're building and growing, use frugality, use wisdom. I did a video the other day about, what could you do that with that extra $5, $10 a day you spend at Starbucks? And how could you save that and reinvest that? Just take those small steps every day and look at your budget and look at, where you're spending your money and where could we save? Where could we not eat out, one or two less times during the week? And then what could we do with that money, to help grow our legacy long term? So I think little steps like that will start proactively getting you in the, legacy mindset and help you to start to realize, whoa, we're really overspending in this area, or we can really cut these things out of our lives. You said you moved a lot, Robin, too, right? I've moved many times as well, not so much growing up, but after I moved out. And so what that made me realize every time you move is you go, wow, I need to simplify. And wow, I really don't need all the stuff.
And you accumulate so much stuff. It's crazy.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I think anytime you can simplify, do that.
Simplify. And, if you can educate yourself right in the beginning. So a lot of people want to look successful right from the get-go, right? So you're in your 20s, you get, the pretty cars, you get the stereo system, you get into debt immediately. And it's so hard to get out of debt. If we could educate everybody on how to be frugal, how to build that up, and how to have it naturally progress versus forcing it to happen and then, get it now, pay it later. And that's why our debt is in the trillions of dollars.
And
I've been there. Yeah. And,
we put people there, Robin. Ego.
And
we need to have the bright, shiny objects. Why? When we can't afford them. Ego. Get rid of it.
For sure. And I remember my ex-husband and I, we bought a house and then we got a 125% second, like a month after we bought the house. We got a Durango and a new truck and a motorcycle. So just the two trucks payments was $1,350 on top of, we just buried ourselves instantly in a few months. It's like, oh my gosh, what happened? And so many people do that because, it's like, look how successful I am. Look at my pretty purple Durango.
Yep.
But it's so not worth it. It's not the stress that comes with that bill every month and so it's crazy. So anyways, I appreciate you so much. Everybody go down and, download the healthcare documents. Again, I will put them in the giveaways tab in the Coach Summit group, and you could reach out to Caleb right there. So under that tab where I have all of the giveaways, his name will be highlighted and you could click that and instantly send him a message. But make sure you get the documents before they're not available. And then I will be back live I think we're going back live in about 17 minutes. With two more amazing coaches, and they're wonderful for working with me because, it's like I can't do tomorrow. But we will do, Lachelle Lowe's going to do a watch party for me tomorrow, so it'll be on at the same time. We're just filming it today. So we have Miss Mary Kay Garrett, and, I love what she's doing. So she realized at one point that she was like, so frustrated with kids and being a parent, and sometimes you could do that, and she lashed out, and then she's all, I am not the parent that I want to be to my kids. So she is a parent coach, and I love what she's doing because so many of us, your patience runs really thin, all the other stresses, and you got the kids all rambunctious, and she teaches people how to be the parent that you want your kids to have. And I think that is such a valuable thing. I love what she's doing. And then we have Miss Dina Lakeland, and she was a nurse for 30 years. She has had her own story with health struggles and cancer. And so she is actually a coach that helps you go through that process of having cancer, because unless you've had it, you don't understand how you feel. You don't understand the fears that you have that overwhelm your life. And so she is a coach that will help you go through that process because she's been there, she understands. And I think these two ladies are absolutely beautiful with what they're doing. So make sure you tune in either in 15 minutes or you tune in tomorrow, because those will be the coaches for tomorrow. But thank you, Caleb, very much. And Laura Scotti, I love these interviews today. They were just amazing. So
thank you, Robin. Thank you to all the coaches who are serving us. This is powerful. And get over to Only the Inspired Facebook group and join us.
Yes, Only the Inspired Coach Summit. So that's, there's several Only the Inspired groups, but go to the Coach Summit because that's the public one where everybody's congregating. That's where all the homework is. All the giveaways are, and that's where you could share and invite people. So make sure you go there. So thank you very much, and we will see you guys in a few minutes.
Ciao, ciao.
Okay, bye. You too.